Sigrika is our new Aero DPS with a very simple playstyle, and her role in your team building is to do the highest portion of your team's overall damage due to her damage dealer role, with some slight quality of life changes like the enemy stagnation effect that she can grant to her teammates when they cast echo skills through her outro skill. Speaking of teammates, she's heavily reliant on units that can cast echo skills multiple times per rotation, so she has access to 4 possible team compositions that are centered around Choyen and Cantarella. In today's video, I'm going to break down Sigrika's kit to make it very easy to understand how she works, best builds, and how much of a damage decrease you should expect in her non-best in slot teams to help you decide if you should pull or not. Keep in mind that every footage used in this video was captured on the creator server, so some things may be subject to change upon official release. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
What sleeps within you? Mandate calls. Judgment falls. Break like bamboo.
Straight to the stars.
Sigrika's playstyle, or Forte circuit. She can regenerate 2 types of Forte stacks called Trust and Answer. Performing basic attacks after the 4th stage will give her access to an enhanced basic attack and an enhanced skill with crowd control capabilities. Pressing the enhanced basic attack will generate Trust, and pressing the enhanced skill will generate Answer. Pressing the enhanced basic attack after an intro skill will generate 2 Trust, and pressing the enhanced skill after an intro skill will generate 2 Answer. Pressing the enhanced skill or the basic attack button after casting her Resonance Liberation will generate 1 Trust and 1 Answer. Keep in mind that the order in which they are generated this way by using the Resonance Liberation doesn't really matter, because you'll perform the same attack when you consume Trust and Answer regardless of their position. Now, with 2 Trust Forte stacks, holding your basic attack button will launch an attack that stagnates all enemies caught within it. In single target endgame mode, this will be what you'll be using to reduce the pressure from aggressive enemies. With 2 Answer Forte stacks, holding your basic attack button will launch an attack that captures all small targets caught within it and groups them at a single spot. This is what you should be using in Whimpering Waste. Keep in mind that this attack has terrible enemy targeting system while enemies are respawning in Whimpering Waste, so make sure your targets have entered the field or spawned on the field before you use it. With 1 Trust and 1 Answer, regardless of their position, holding your basic attack button will launch an attack that does the highest damage in a decent area of effect among all the heavy attacks from her Forte circuit that I've covered so far. Performing any of the 2 heavy attacks from her Forte circuit will generate 4 tiny Soli skin on her Forte bar, as you can see right here, which gives you access to an enhanced skill. Holding this skill will slingshot Sigrika to do massive damage. Casting 6 echo skills per rotation will let the first heavy attack that you choose to use be amplified by 30%, the second one will also be amplified by 60%, and the final slingshot nuke skill will also be amplified by 60%, which is actually crazy, and that's why she's dependent on Choyen and Cantarella to cast more echo skills, and that's pretty much her kit description. The combos for Whimpering Waste and single target modes when Sigrika is on the field will be explained in the rotation section of this video. Team building. I tested 4 team compositions and recorded their clear times and damage dealt from the final enhanced skill or the slingshot skill that she uses to nuke the enemy. All teams will be compared to the Showkeeper Choyen team composition, since that's currently her best in slot team. Coming at first place is of course the Showkeeper Choyen team composition with a clear time of 47 seconds. At second place we have the Cantarella Aero Rover team composition. I had a clear time of 68 seconds, which was 21 seconds slower than her best in slot team, and I encountered a damage loss of 32%, which is pretty significant. Coming at third place is the Cantarella Auto Team composition with a clear time of 78 seconds, and I encountered a damage loss of 28%, which is actually better than the Aero Rover team. But the reason I had a slow clear time with the Auto Team composition is because Auto's damage contribution is very low compared to Aero Rover. So S6 Aero Rover's personal damage is what helped his team clear 10 seconds faster than the Auto Team composition. At fourth place, we have the Cantarella Chacona Team comp with an awful clear time of 82 seconds and a damage loss of 41%, which is nothing surprising since Chacona doesn't actually provide more powerful buffs like damage amplification from her Ultra skill. However, the clear times could have been a little bit better if she was using her signature weapon since it shreds error resistance for herself and Sigrika, but I had to use Static Mist for the run since majority of you guys may not have her signature weapon. So if you don't have Choyen, your next best team is Cantarella on Rejuvenating Glow and Variation, and Aero Rover with an R5 Blood Packs pledge. I'll continue to test more teams that are not centered around Cantarella and Choyen, and I'll provide my update later on in a separate video. Let's cover her build. Weapon priorities will be based on this sheet right here, which is a record of my runs in the middle tower based on how much damage she can do from the final slingshot enhanced skill with different weapons. Since Sigrika can get crit rate from her Echo Sonata effect, every weapon was stretched to its limit by running a crit damage forecast with highly optimized substats for crit rate, as you can see right here. Keep in mind that all the damage recorded was compared to her signature weapon. If you can't get her signature weapon, Zani's signature is the best alternative because of the defense ignore from the passive. You'll encounter a damage loss of about 16% compared to a signature weapon. Abyss Surges is the second priority if you don't have Zani's signature and is free. It provides an attack substat instead of crit, and the energy regen from the passive can actually help you reach the 150% energy regen requirement to get all the 50% echo skill damage bonus from this Sigrika passive. You'll encounter a damage loss of about 19.5% compared to her signature weapon. Pulsation Bracer is the worst option because it's basically a stat stick just like all the other gauntlets in the game, which is not that useful for Sigrika, but I tested it anyway because it's free. For her echoes, the Sound of True Name will be her best in slot. The forecast will be crit damage, Nameless Explorer, regardless of the weapon that you're using because you can hyper-optimize your substats like I said before to get at least 50% crit rate, then slap Showkeeper on the team for crit rate and you're good to go. I was able to get up to 60% crit rate from the substats alone on the creator server, so for this particular build, I'm free to run crit damage even if I'm running Monier or Cantarella. But if you can't afford to burn that much resources, go for crit rate forecast when you're not using Showkeeper. The 3 cost will be double arrow damage bonus and the 1 cost will be double attack percentage as usual. Substats priority will be crit rate, crit damage, and energy regen. Make sure to focus on getting at least 150% energy regen or more. Talent priority will be Fortress Circuit, Liberation, Basic Attack, Skill, and Intro Skill. Rotations. I'll be covering the rotations for Whimper Waste and single target endgame modes like the Tower of Adversity. Let's start with Whimper Waste. Here's the build that I'm running on all teammates.
I'm ready.
Here to serve your will.
You first start with Showkeeper as usual and build Concerto Energy. Make sure to always dash cancel the heavy attack that she uses to consume the Forte stacks to reduce her field time during the first rotation. When she has about 75% of her Concerto Energy filled up, Liberation, Echo Skill, which is very important for Sigrika, and Intro with Choyen. Basic attack until she has full Forte stacks. Liberation, hold basic attack, and then basic attack 2 times to finish his Forte circuit. Echo Skill, again, which is very important, and Intro to Sigrika. Cast her Echo Skill right after the Intro Skill, and Basic Attack, which will start from stage 2 because of the Intro Skill, and spam it up to stage 4. Cast her skill to generate 2 answer Forte stacks, and immediately cast her Liberation to cancel the animation. Heavy attack to group enemies and basic attack up to stage 4. Use the enhanced skill again and heavy attack to do damage in a wider area of effect. Now hold your skill button to nuke the enemy and intro to Showkeeper. For single target endgame modes, I'll be using Cantarella and Arrow Rover team so that I can cover 2 rotations in one video. Here's the build that I'll be using on all teammates. I'm using variation on Cantarella because she takes a lot of field time in the first rotation, but if you have her signature weapon, use it instead to increase the team's overall damage. You first start by casting Cantarella's skill and go to Arrow Rover to cast his skill. Basic attack 3 times and use his liberation as soon as he plunges on the ground, and then go back to Cantarella and use her liberation. The reason why I'm spamming ultimate right after the rotation starts is to build up off-tune level as fast as possible and tune break to review these type of enemies. So in the subsequent rotations, you just rotate the simpler or usual way by staying on one character at a time. Now heavy attack, skill, and basic attack until Cantarella's forte skill becomes available for you to use. Basic attack to consume the rest of her forte stacks, echo skill, and intro with Arrow Rover. Basic attack 3 times, plunge and use his forte skill, echo skill, and intro with Sigrika. Cast her echo skill right after the intro and basic attack up to the 4th stage. Press your basic attack button to generate 2 trust forte stacks and cancel the animation with her liberation. Heavy attack to stagnate all enemies caught within it, and basic attack again up to the 4th stage. Press the enhanced skill or basic attack, doesn't really matter, to generate answer and trust forte stack. Heavy attack to do damage and hold your skill button to nuke the enemy. You can now intro with Cantarella and start the second rotation. Sequence explanations. S1 increases the damage multiplier of the attacks that she uses to generate the forte stacks, including Trust and Answer, by 70%, but it's not that great because that's not where her damage is heavily focused on. Those same attacks now gain 100% anti-interruption, which is still not worth your money because Sigrika doesn't spend that much time on the field, so spending a second or 2 to dodge won't hurt your DPS that much. The stagnation effects from her Ultra skill that all enemies experience whenever her teammates cast an Echo skill is increased to 3 times instead of 2 times from her base kit design. This can be avoided by just dodging and you should be fine. S2 should be your target if you want an early sequence that increases your damage significantly because of the 120% increased damage multiplier of the final enhanced skill. This sequence is similar to Carlotta S2 and Camellia S2, just to give you a little bit of reference on how much destruction that you can do. I don't want to activate the sequence to give you a damage showcase because that will prevent future videos that I have to make for S0 Sigrika. But if you want a video testing all her sequences, let me know down in the comments and it's going to be the last Sigrika video that I'm going to post on the channel. Again, from S2, if she stays out of combat for more than 4 seconds, the next enhanced basic attack or skill will generate 2 opposite forte stacks just like her liberation does, but this is mostly useful in the overworld, but it has a little bit of practicality in endgame content. S3 allows Sigrika to maintain the damage amplification buffs that I mentioned earlier from her forte circuit even after she switched out from the field, but this time all the attacks from her forte circuit, including the heavy attacks and the final enhanced slingshot skill, will be amplified up to 120%, which is insane. But you need to cast 4 heavy attacks to stack it up to 120%, which usually takes 2 rotations. However, you can stack it a bit quicker by taking advantage of this part of S2, which lets her heavy attack after generating 2 opposite stacks right at the beginning of the rotation, because before the rotation starts, it counts as she was not previously engaged in combat, which will give you the first stack that amplifies the first heavy attack by 30%. You can then use 3 heavy attacks from the forte circuit to stack up the rest up to 120%. S4 should have been removed and replaced with a better team-wide buff like universal damage amplification to make it worth the investment. S5 is meh. S6 makes all her targets take 30% more damage, which is a different kind of multiplier in the damage equation, and it's different from damage bonuses or damage amplification, so it increases your damage quite significantly. all the heavy attacks, and the final skill that she uses the nuke from her forte circuit will now have an increased crit damage of up to 60% and ignore the enemy defense of up to 30%. But keep in mind that this stacks just like the additional damage amplification from S3 that I explained earlier. That'll be all for my Sigrika character breakdown. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to help support the channel because it's free and you can always change your mind. Our Discord link will be in the pinned comment if you're having any issues with the game or just want to place a show or hang out. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.